What up, guys? Welcome to the New American Dream Podcast. I'm your host, George Gibson. Alrighty, we are back. This is season 2. This is the first episode of season 2. I know we've been on a little hiatus, a break. But since the pandemic, I kind of took a little break. I've been doing these podcasts, constantly for the last, I think, like 3 years. Not every week, but I've been doing these podcasts, so I basically just took a little break, but we're back with season 2. I'm excited. A lot of times when I took a little break from social media too, because it's too many opinions, too many people talking about this and that. And a lot of times I like to clear my mind. And when I clear my mind, that means like when I go in the woods or I go fishing or ride my four-wheeler. When I do them things, I kind of forget about social media. And it lets you go back to, it's like when I listen to musicians, and a lot of musicians say when they're in album mode, they don't listen to other musicians because they don't want to start trying to sound like the most trendiest thing out. So yes, we're back with season 2, episode 1. But the pandemic, this COVID thing is finally slowing down, and we're getting back to a normal life. I think last week we went on our actual trip and got in the pool at the hotel, right? And that sounds normal, but getting in the pool in the hotel during the pandemic is like it's non-existent. So we got in the pool for the first time around strangers too, people in the pool. It was just an awesome time. But yes, this is the first episode of season 2, and we're gonna kick it off right. I got an awesome guest today. They are a couple. They are completely debt free. They're aliens, right? They're completely debt free besides their mortgages. Let me get it right. Besides their mortgages, but they are house hacking currently right now, and they are striving to reach extreme financial freedom by using house hacking and investing and just living the life they want to live, the new American dream. So enough of me talking. Welcome to the show. We have Jason and Elissa. Ready? All right. Welcome to the show. We have Jason and Elissa.
Hi, George. Thanks for having us on.
What's going on, man?
Yes, man. So let the people know about a little bit about who you are and what you guys do.
Super fraud. Like you said, my name's Jason, and this is my wife, Elissa. We live in Vermont. We're doing our first house hack right now. Elissa's now a stay-at-home mom. We just had a new baby, so that's keeping life interesting. And I'm currently a contractor and in the National Guard and running my own podcast. So just trying a little bit of everything,
Right. What about you, Elissa?
So I am transitioning to being a stay-at-home mom now. I was previously working as a full-time speech language pathologist at our hospital nearby. So.
Okay. So, take us back before you guys met. How was your childhood? Because as we see now, you kind of doing an entrepreneur life, real estate. But before you got there, how was your life growing up?
So for me, I grew up in Pennsylvania. I'm one of 5 kids, and I think that I had really good role models in my parents. My mom was a teacher. My dad never went to college, but worked really hard. And he worked at a power plant through most of my time growing up as maintenance. And somehow by working that job, my mom was a stay-at-home mom until I was in essentially 7th grade. She got a job teaching. She had gone back to school while he was working. So on his, salary, that without an education, he managed to sustain our family. My mom went back to school, got a master's degree. There's 5 kids. We all went to college.
Wow.
And they're 55 and retiring now. So it's pretty crazy. They did something right. So I think I had some really good role models. I think back to growing up, my dad did the envelope system. And that's just a memory I have in my head of him sitting at the table, putting money into each envelope for gas, groceries. That was how he just went about every paycheck. So just they were good with their money. So just good lessons learned that way.
So all right, that's the crazy part. All right, your parents were evidently they talked about money around you, and that shaped you as an adult. Would you say?
For sure, 100%. My dad is, about saving money, being smart with your money, not making poor financial choices. So, yeah, definitely really helped to set us up to be successful.
It sounded like you was riding in the car ride listening to Dave Ramsey with your dad.
Basically, my dad doesn't even know. Well, he never had read or listened to Dave Ramsey. Like, I don't know where he got the envelope system from, but he was using it before it was a thing, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, maybe Dave Ramsey got it from him. All right, what about you, Jason?
Yeah, I grew up one of four kids. I was the third, and kind of like, both my parents are in the medical field. My dad's in pharmaceuticals. My mom's a nurse. So I always had an expectation from them that like I was gonna go to college and stuff. But as far as like the financial lessons I learned when I was young was more of like saving. Whenever I said I wanted a skateboard or something like that, my dad would ask how much a skateboard was. And I'd be like $100. And he's like, all right, once you have 300 saved, then you can go buy a skateboard kind of thing. So those are like really the only money lessons that I really remember learning, was just being like making sure I was saving more than I was spending.
So would you say you guys were like middle class family?
Yeah, I mean that's safe to say, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and one of the things I like after talking to so many people, I believe like the middle class only teach their children how to save, and that's not easy. But the rich teach how to invest.
For sure. Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So like now, like we all got grown and we don't like working. Invest, So it's just funny because like that, like my mom, her parents never taught her about investing. It was like, you save for a rainy day, save for a rainy day. Like that was it. It was never okay to the next step.
Yeah. It's so true.
Yes. So in like you said in high school, what were you guys like in high school? Were this your ideal life? Like, was you getting a 4.0 GPA? How was your life?
I was a 4.0 GPA kind of girl.
She still gets upset about the 1 A- she got in college. Yeah, I know.
Oh man.
I'm the other end of the spectrum. Like in high school, man, I was getting C's. I took it more seriously in college. I did well in college, but in high school, I didn't care about anything.
But there was like high school as I played sports. Before I could drive, I had a job. So I always wanted to make money doing something.
That's funny because you guys probably balance each other out. It seemed like, all right, if you 4.0 GPA, that means you just really smart. And then he's like, all right, he might take more risk.
Yeah. What does that mean I am?
Well, Jason, you kind of like me. We just like, we dumb, so we take risks. You know what I mean? I say the best real estate investors are kind of dumb because you really, I go less inspection days. You just really more risk, but you got to kind of, in order to make a good deal, it's risk. I think the smarter people look at too many things. Like my cousin, he trying to get every detail. And I'm like, listen, does it cash flow? Okay, let's buy it,
Yeah. It's so true. It's like, they're too smart for their own good. They pay too much attention to the risks. It's like at some point, like just kind of ignore the risks and just send it.
Yeah.
And then kind of figure it out from there.
Oh, we like, my bad. They didn't have a roof. I'm like,
Yeah.
But yeah, so all right, after high school, like, what'd you guys do?
So I went the college route, but I'm the second oldest, so I watched my older brother go to a private school, take on loans, and while I still did that, I didn't want to take on as much as he did. I just saw the numbers and I was like, whoa. So through my high school, I ended up getting a free year at a community college. So I took a bunch of gen eds, and then I went to a state school because to be a speech therapist, you need a master's degree. So with that in mind, I needed to do the undergrad thing as cheaply as possible and then get to grad school. So I had some scholarship. I had this free year of community college. So I then went on to get my master's degree. That's how I ended up in Vermont. Again, I got a free year by doing a teaching assistantship. So I just always found a way to try to get some scholarship, some money. How can I do this as cheaply as possible? And my parents did help all 5 of us out in some capacity. Everyone, depending on their situation, got something. Definitely not 6 years of school, but yeah, so I ended up with my master's degree, about $25,000 in student loans, and but ended up with a good job. So
yeah, and out of that whole situation, like for people like, cause me, I think when we went, like we didn't want to go to community college. Like we had to get up in front of, I think, the church, and like everybody had to announce what college. So if you said a community college, it was kind of embarrassing. But now that I'm going back, it's like the first 2 years, everybody's doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like you took advantage of like the first 2 years of not spending so much money.
for sure. And I mean, I was a 4.0 student. So like a lot of people were like, you're going to go to community college? Like what? But it worked out. Like
it makes sense.
School. So.
Right. And what about you, Jason? Did you skip college or you went to college?
So I ultimately went to college, but actually I joined the Marine Corps my senior year of high school. And so I was fortunate to, take classes while I was in the Marine Corps. A lot of stuff I was in the Marine Corps counted towards college credits and stuff like that. So, I started off by going to a community college after the Marine Corps also.
Okay.
That's because like it's so cheap, and trying to preserve my benefits. Like if you're a young, individual, like as far as claiming taxes, like I'm not under my parents anymore, and you're going to California. I was in California at the time. Community college, like there's just so much money available to a student like that who's like kind of on their own, pretty like poor, broke at the time. I mean, between grants and scholarships, it's just like, why would anybody go to like a private university or even like a big state university?
Right.
The community colleges are, in my experience, better.
Between grants and scholarships, he made money in California going to school, actually.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the California Community College, if you're an in-state resident at the time, it was $45 a unit. And then the California school system, so like everybody, I was in class with people that were, taking their bios, taking their chemistries, and then transferring over to like UC Berkeley, because it's cheaper to go to the community college, but they're all part of the same school system. So like the kids I was in class with are going to go be like, Berkeley medical students or something like that, So I thought my education was way better at that level than what it was at when I transferred out.
Wow.
So I had a great experience at community college.
Okay. So what I was gonna say. I looked at your Instagram, and it said when you guys first met, the first date, Jason pulled out a coupon.
Yeah.
Sure did.
Yeah.
We went and got pizza. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, we got pizza. Though it wasn't like Domino's. It was it was like a
local
stone-fired kind of creme de la creme of the pizza.
Oh, okay.
So it would have been an expensive pizza if I didn't use the coupon.
Oh man, it's crazy because it go deep because like we like to travel a lot. So when we stay in hotels, like at first I used to work at the post office. So we stay in nice hotels, but we use like government discount. So it's kind of like people, like, you want to eat good food.
Mm-hmm.
Coupon.
Yeah. Like so many people look at like using the coupon on the first date as a negative, but I'm like, all right, let's be real. I'm going to use coupons the rest of my life. If this girl wants to stick around with me, she's got to be okay with like using some coupons,
Oh man.
So it would have been a game changer. Like I would have just walked away if she wasn't okay with it.
All right. Oh yeah, what I was saying. What are some of the things you guys like once you guys, met each other, like some of the things you did, you like, oh, that's kind of frugal. We both like thinking the same. What are some of the things you were doing?
Well, let's start with how we met, because we had both separately learned that if you work for an airline, you can get free flights. So separately, we both applied to work for a subcontracted Delta, whatever.
Yeah, so it was like a subsidiary of Delta Airlines.
Okay.
So we met the first day of our security training class, both with the intentions of traveling for free.
Sure.
So that was how we met. We both worked at Delta, loading luggage at 3 o'clock in the morning, and got to travel all over the world for free, first class for free.
Yeah,
It's
wow.
crazy.
So you guys, you're not the first house hacker, but what you call it, travel hack or flight hack?
Yeah, it kind of was
Travel
like
hacking.
definitely travel hacking. I mean, I was a student at the time, so it made it way easier for me. Like I'd go back to bed after getting off at 7 a.m.
Right.
But like she would work from like whatever it was 3 a.m. to like 6:30 a.m. and then go to the hospital all day for a full-time job. And like, I mean, she's way more of a champ than I was, than I was. And also like it afforded me to go on way more trips, and she, would get them in when she could. But yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, but that goes to show you, like, when people like nowadays people probably look at you guys like, oh, they're very successful, they're doing this, doing that. But the fact that you went to work 3 o'clock in the morning, got off and went to another job, right?
Yeah.
You put in like what average person might do in a week. You put it in so fast that your success is going faster.
For sure. I mean, like I said before, I had about $25,000 in student loans. I paid it off 2 years ago before we got married.
Maybe even longer. Yeah.
Before, it helped me to do that by like working those 2 jobs too. I got to travel for free, and I was making more money to pay these loans off so that I was debt free.
Double win.
Yeah.
Right. So, all right. So what's something like, as far as being frugal, people call you cheap. What is something you don't mind spending money on? Like, you guys will spend money and like it costs more, but you're willing to pay for it.
What were you
I
saying?
don't know.
One thing, like I do the cooking. So like, if I want to make a really good meal and I need these ingredients, there are times where I'm willing to spend that money on those things.
No, so you talking about $2 to $4. I'm talking about
what? I mean, honestly, neither one of us really have like a vice or like an expensive guilty pleasure. Like we get pleasure out of like not spending money almost.
That's so funny. I mean, he's cheap, but he spends more than I do.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like his podcast stuff has been the recent like
splurge.
Of, like, getting the microphone and the equipment and the headphones and all that stuff. So the computer to go with it all, that kind of stuff has been a.
Okay, Jason. So how much the shoes you have on cost? Just tell me.
How much? How much? What they cost?
Shoes. I have more shoes.
Oh, no. I said, how much do the shoes you have on cost?
Oh, shoes.
I'm barefoot. I don't think I'm getting the joke.
No. I was just trying to see, like, some people spend $120, $150 on shoes. I was just trying to see, like, all right, you spend money on your equipment, but on things that are not bringing, asset or value to your life, you're not gonna really waste much money on that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. Like, the shoes I wear, I mean, they're falling apart because they're like 2 years old. But when I bought them, they were like $120.
Okay.
And then I'll make sure like I buy the nice jeans that actually last, kind of thing.
Okay.
So I guess we buy for quality, and that's when we'll splurge.
Okay. All right. So this is a tough question, but all right, currently in total, how much debt do you think you have? You don't have to say exact number.
That's our mortgage, so like 340.
No, I'm talking about like JCPenney, Lowe's, like Bank of America type cards.
How much debt?
Yes.
No debt.
Huh?
No debt.
Our mortgage is our debt.
No, I knew that. I was just trying to make sure, but the listeners, like, you know, no, that's like you're like an alien basically. You know, you got no debt. So
Yeah.
like for the people listening, like, all right, before you had no debt, what kind of debt did you have? Or you always had no debt?
Student loans. I had student loans.
Student loans in a car.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she had student loans. She paid them off before we got married. Had a little bit of a car note left.
From which my dad lended me the money, so I never took out a loan for it. He lent me the money, so I wouldn't have to pay any interest. So
on the car?
On the car, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then,
Go ahead. I have a 3-year-old and he opened the door now.
dangerous. Yeah. I took out, the only debt that I've taken out was for a car that I bought when I was in the Marine Corps in California. And it was like, I bought a car for whatever it was, like $13K at like a 4% maybe rate. And I just, at the time, I didn't really think too much about like whatever interests. And then a couple months later, I started doing the math of like what I was actually paying, even though I had the money in the bank just to pay it off. I looked at it and like realized like, I'm wasting hundreds of dollars for no reason. I could just pay this off. And so that's kind of when I realized like how interest on something like that is just kind of killing you.
So basically, I mean, even, with the no debt, you guys were already like, you didn't really get no credit cards and cars to like stores and stuff like that. You never got credit cards for that?
No, I mean, we have like between both of us, probably like 6 credit cards or something like that. I've got a couple through my bank to make sure, like for like travel, no transaction fees. The only one we have is a Delta Amex that has the annual fee on it. Other than that, like, I don't think it's worth, like, I don't want to sign up for recurring expenses,
Right.
And so even if it's a credit card with some great benefits, it's like at some point there's going to be a greater credit card, and then I'm going to just like stack all these annual expenses. And so, yeah.
Yeah, but neither of us have ever had credit card debt. Like, I think both of us in our upbringing learned not to do that, like pay off your credit card every month. So that's just something we both have always done. Like, I've never let it go over a month. I don't think you have.
Yeah. No, actually, at one time I got a.
Oh, you forgot.
I forgot about it after we got married and switched bank accounts. I'm like, I forgot I had that card, and I got like a late fee of like $5, and I was like freaking out. I'm like, what the heck is this? Like, that's this, like, what? So I called him and I was like, hey, like, this has never happened before. I don't want to pay this $5. Like, what can we do here? He's like, well, I'll fix it this time, but don't count on it happening again. So I'll never do that again.
Oh, man. People are going to be like so mad at that. Like the one time he called.
Yeah, maybe.
So, all right, for instance, a person does have debt. So they got like $10,000 car payment. They got like $3,000 or $4,000 on like, department stores, or they got medical payments, stuff like that. How would you say the best way to take on that debt as far as becoming debt free? Like, what's some tips and strategies you guys can recommend?
So, I mean, for me, like, I was fortunate that like I joined the Marine Corps right out of high school. So I was never in a position where I had to take on debt to afford school or whatever. Like, the Marine Corps just kind of gives you what you need to survive. But I read Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey kind of early on when I was in the Marine Corps. And so that was part of the reason why I paid off my car, and like that I did the envelope system for a while. So, his system worked well for me for like saving money. And if I were in debt at that time, I would have done the exact same thing with the debt snowball. And I know mathematically it's not the best route, but I don't think that if you have debt, I don't think it's necessarily about the math. I think it's about like, it's a mental game more than anything else. And so I think fighting it with those mental wins and that debt snowball, going after like the smallest, the smallest sum first, and then snowballing from there. I think that I like that strategy. That's what I would do.
Right. Yeah, I don't really like that strategy. He start from the bottom and go to the higher, right?
Mhm.
But I think it goes to people's personality. Because me, how do I look at it? Oh yeah, I look at it. Your limit is $5,000, and you at $4,000 whatever on that card. The ones with the highest usage, I usually try to pay them first because that's the one that's hurting your credit score more. If you got a $10 credit limit and using $9, but if you got a $20,000 credit limit and you got $1,000 on it, I wouldn't pay that. I wouldn't pay that first. I would go, my ratio.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
It helps.
I mean, I just think of like friends I talk to that they have like some crazy amount of student loan debt, and they're like keep putting money towards it every month, and it just looks like it's not going anywhere.
Right.
So then they're like, why am I bothering paying it? And so if you had a bunch of different size debts and you could see them get knocked out as you go, I think that would continuously give you the encouragement to keep going rather than just say, forget it, I'm going to live this life,
Yeah, most definitely. Trying to pay all of them at the same time is like,
yeah,
probably like people trying to lose weight. Like,
yeah.
All right. So, what do your current investment look like? We were taught to save by parents, but far as now you're looking at investing your money. What are some of the things you invest in?
Jason does the long-term game, so.
Yeah, I never know. Yeah, she does like the daily budgeting and stuff, and I try to like figure out the long-term stuff. We've done our first house hack, and so I feel like that I kind of separate it where do I actually want to spend the time learning, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't really enjoy reading about companies and their value performance and their profits and things like that. Like that's not, I don't get excited about that.
Right.
So with our retirement accounts, they're in like target year retirement accounts. It's like, it's safe, conservative. It's pretty much automatic. And it's just automatically contributing to that based on when we're shooting for retirement kind of thing.
And with that, I for my job have a Roth 403b, which is just the equivalent of a 401k. For a nonprofit, and then a Roth IRA. So those I have in my name technically.
Yeah, so employer retirement account plus individual retirement account for each one of us.
Right.
And then for obviously the real estate stuff that we want to continue growing, but in the pursuit of more real estate purchases, just maintaining a brokerage account where in the past year since COVID, I'll definitely jump on some Robinhood stuff.
Right.
But individual stocks is, I'm not going to pretend to be some stock guru spending a bunch of time. The past year has been pretty easy, so I'm not going to pretend I know what I'm talking about. Right. I just know enough to I'm willing to buy some of this kind of thing. But other than that, just some index funds. I think even then, that's something that I'm still trying to gain education on and figure out where's the best place to put them, because there's all kinds of index funds. But outside of real estate, I think just making it automatic target year retirement funds is ideal for us.
Right. What are some of the things in the Marine Corps you think you learned and you applied, as far as your personal life and business? What are some of the things you learned?
The intangibles. I think one, I'm capable of a lot more than I think. Like I said, in high school, I was a garbage student. I just didn't care about anything. And then I realized through the military and through the Marine Corps that you don't have to give that much more effort to actually succeed. It's I feel like that line between passing and failing is only a little bit more effort. And then you kind of get there and well, what if I gave just a little bit more effort? The returns become exponential, the more effort you give. And so that's why I decided okay, I'm actually going to try in college and pursue, high marks kind of thing. So I think that, and then just getting to the point where it's just do it. Whatever you have an idea about, whatever you think you want to do, just do it. And you're never going to know 2 steps ahead, but you know one step ahead, you know, and just take that first step, and then you'll know the next step and the next step, and so on and so forth.
Was that the Marine Corps or Nike?
Yeah, maybe a little bit of both.
So I was gonna say, like for people listening, like, even, you know how you say, you go, if you just put a little bit more effort, that's the difference between failing and succeeding. Like, even me in like college and high school, more so in college, I always made like D's on my tests. I'm not a good test taker, right? But the teacher offered, like, I think on Saturdays, like, you go pick up trash, they give you extra 10 points. Or you write, like, I think in high school you have to write summaries on the newspaper and you get like extra points. Like, that's literally how I made it. Like, if they say like you get bring donuts to get extra credit, I'm bringing donuts every day. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because I know like the test and stuff, I'm gonna get like a D. I'm gonna do all the homework.
Yeah.
I think people gotta, like, because like everybody learn difference. I just realized I learned by listening at like 27 years old. I'm 32 now, but I discovered I learned by listening. So like, with the teacher, like, I had certain teachers in college that give you like a book, just read, go take a test on Friday. I'm gonna fail that test.
Yeah, I hear you.
I didn't realize it though, like, because I really wasn't comprehending what I was reading. I learned better by podcasts, listening. So once I started like listening to podcasts as a mailman, and I was like, it like triggered, like, I remember everything I heard.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
and like, it's similar to, I did the same thing in college. When you start realizing that like the little things add up, whether it be in your grades or in your finances, every time the teacher offers like, 5 points of extra credit for like doing something silly, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. You know, those 5 points at the end are gonna matter. Similarly, if it's like, I can make $5 by like selling this crap on my bookshelf that I don't use, like, if you keep doing that $5 thing, like, that's gonna add up over time, you know.
I know. So Alyssa, tell us, how are you getting the A on the test?
It just comes to me. But you know, I still did those extra things just in case I didn't get the A, so that I can make sure I get the A.
See, yeah, I mean, that's just, you call it natural smart. Like, you know, you just do the homework, you can read, no teacher in sight. Like, if I was in school during COVID where you had to like teach yourself,
man. Game over, dude. I hear you.
Yes, that's crazy. So, all right, what does your first real estate deal look like?
So we got married in February of 2019, and that was like shortly, I think it was shortly thereafter, I found bigger pockets, you know. And I feel like most people, like, once they find bigger pockets, if they're gonna do it, they just start like listening nonstop, you know. And so that's where I was at, and I'm like, okay, we're paying like $1,400 a month right now for a 1-bedroom apartment. We got, like, something's got to give. So we basically, I don't really know how we got on the same page. It didn't take much convincing. I mean, she's just as cheap as I am.
I like deals too. So yeah, I mean, I do remember getting into the car, and every time I got into the car, when you picked me up, Bigger Pockets was always playing, and I couldn't even talk to her. I was like, I had to turn it off.
She would turn it off, and like, I would kind of get mad because I wanted her to get on board with it.
All right, but do you listen to it now or no? Still,
not as much as I did at the time.
Me.
Well, I'm talking about Alyssa, yeah.
I've listened to it since then. I haven't been listening to it as much right now, but I have listened to it after the fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I tell people, like, that's how I learned how to do. I mean, evidently it was like, I knew a little bit about real estate, but Bigger Pockets, that's a good podcast if you want to get into real estate.
Oh yeah.
I think I could admit that I take advantage of his interest in that one, and I take his knowledge that he's learned because he puts in the time and I don't.
So that's how my wife is. I think she knows just as much as me because everything I learn, if it's valuable, we talk about it.
Yeah.
So they kind of cheating because they just don't have to listen to the whole thing.
Yeah, I get the cliff notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at this point, Jason, you probably don't learn. You probably know most of the stuff you heard. So you're just taking out maybe different things you didn't know.
Yeah, and I think it's like it shows a difference in personality between us, where like she's really good at school and like really good at like getting a job, and like I'm not great. Like, I'm not great at school, and like
he doesn't know what he wants to do.
I don't know what I want to do. All I know is I have to make some money. So let me like just try to figure out how I need to make some money, and hopefully it's not like working a regular job. You know?
Yeah. No, you got to be stupid. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so from there, we basically, with his motivation with Bigger Pockets, we started writing letters to, well, you went first to get the addresses.
Yeah, so I didn't really know where to start. So I'm like, looking at stuff on Zillow and like plugged in a thing like want more info, and basically sent out a lead to some realtors, started getting hit up. And like this one guy called me a couple times, like, sure, like whatever, like show us some places, but nothing was really nothing was getting the numbers that made sense for us. And so we kind of kept on looking at the MLS, but we decided like, okay, I kept on hearing about off-market deals. Like in this hot market, you got to do off-market deals. So I was like, okay, how the heck do we do that? So I ultimately went to the 4 towns that we were willing to buy in. I called the town tax assessor's office and say like, hey, I'm looking for a list of all the 2 through 4 unit properties in your town with the owner's name, the property address, and the wherever the tax bill gets sent to. So some towns were more helpful than others, but I got a couple lists of like, I don't know, probably 100 plus properties. And then we went through the list and looked at like, okay, every person on there that the mailing address does not link to the property address, we're going to send them a letter, a handwritten letter. So for a while, like after work, we'd be like, all right, we're each gonna handwrite 5 letters and we're gonna mail them out tomorrow, kind of thing.
Why not just type and make copies?
There's something personal about,
dude, like,
did you learn that somewhere?
If you get junk mail, it's just more junk mail, right? If it's typed up and it's like obviously copy and pasted, I'm not even gonna read it. I'm gonna throw it away. If I got it in my mailbox, I'm gonna throw it away. If I get a handwritten letter with some like pretty crappy handwriting that looks like it's a 5-year-old, it's like, hey, who's this 5-year-old that wrote me a letter? And it's actually a grown adult trying to buy your house. So that was my thought process. I just kind of thought that it would be more effective, and so.
No, I do the same thing. I might not write 100 of them. I might write 5 of them, but
yeah.
Hey, your house, I want to buy it. But no, I sent recently. I sent. It's so hard to find a deal. So like the properties I own, I sent them to all the neighbors. So maybe they'll sell me the property, but who knows?
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, because if you own the block, you can control the rent.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah. All right. So explain. Most people, if they listen to my podcast by now, they should know what house hacking is. So we're not even going to go there. But what do you look for to make a good house hack?
So for So for us, like when we bought the property we're in now, we didn't expect to be here as long as we have been. And so we wanted to make sure that it would cash flow without us here. Right. And
what
so
you mean like, is it somebody else renting, or if it's vacant, your unit vacant, and it's still cash flow?
No, like if both sides, so it's a duplex, we got a duplex. If both sides are rented, then we're cash flowing at least $100 each side. Like that was the goal. That was kind of what Brandon from Bigger Pockets talked about a lot, was like $100 a door was the goal.
Right.
And so that was what we were working with. And we used the VA loan, which was 0 down, which was great, but then it made the cash flowing a little bit difficult to find one that made sense. But
now that would be difficult, especially with the 0% down, because normally you need 20% or 25% down.
Yeah.
To make it cash flow, but 0% and it cash flow, once you refinance or something, it's gonna cash flow.
Yeah. So we were able to slip in a refi during COVID when numbers were low. So we ended up getting like a 2.6 percent APR on it, and that increased, or rather it decreased our mortgage by about $200 a month.
Right.
So which only increases the cash flow that much more. It's like, dude, what?
Got
this is freaking sweet, man. Like that's awesome.
No. I'm happy that worked. But all right. No, it was something you said before that and we skipped it. Oh yeah. Did you find this property from one of these handwritten letters?
We ultimately did not. So like those letters led to some great conversations. And kind of put us in contact with some people that like, hey, like not yet, but maybe a couple years down the line. So it has not yet turned into a property, but you never know. We ultimately found this one on the MLS. The realtor, sent us the automatic email kind of thing. We're like, let's go find it. It was nice and ugly, and we're like, all right, let's do some work. And we wanted a project at the time, like we'd go home to our apartment and be like, like what do we do with the rest of the day, kind of thing. And so we were both pretty eager to like have a project to go home and work on.
So, all right. So Jason, so Elissa, you're at home. You're staying at home now, right?
Yep.
So let me ask this question: when are you getting your real estate license?
Oh man, that's a great question.
I guess I never thought about it because that's in his ballpark that he's been talking about it recently.
I thought about it, yeah.
But maybe this is my cue.
Well, I mean, because my wife worked and I got my real estate license, and just like if you're gonna talk about and be about real estate, it only like where are you at? Vermont, you said?
Vermont, yeah.
Yeah, because honestly, I found a lot of deals, just being a realtor, but I'll be showing a buyer a house and then they might not want it. And, I try to buy it. Or, opportunity come when a seller want to sell a house and you might want it. So it give you more, you want to have a lot of options. And I think real estate, being a realtor, it gives you not only, I wouldn't say, well, some people I don't tell to get a real estate license. It's not worth it because you have to, it's not a job, but it's more work. But if you're not really working, it's nothing to be a realtor because you're looking for deals anyway.
Yeah.
It just kind of made sense.
I like it. We'll talk about that offline.
Yeah. All right. So, you buy this duplex. Is the other side empty or is it already rented out?
So yeah, we inherited a tenant, which I know was like goes against what a lot of people recommend. But for us, like buying, your first property, let alone your first rental, is like pretty scary. You're like, what? Like, why am I signing on for this kind of debt? This is crazy. And so to us, it was comforting knowing that there was some income that came from this. It was definitely below market rent, but this lady, we were her third owners for the property. She's been here 30 years, which is like crazy. Like I always say it's like more her house than it is ours. So yeah, we inherited her. She's been good, and we've been kind of improving the property around her.
So did you have the opportunity to raise our rent, or you basically just left it?
We did. We went in there. We told her like basically after we closed, because we had to redo a contract because she was on a month-to-month at that point. And we went in there and said like, hey, like this is what we're planning on doing with the property. New siding. We're going to give you a new window out front. This, that, and the other thing. Here are market rents in the neighborhood. Here's what you're paying now. It's significantly low. So over the course of the year, we're going to increase rent. I think it was about $400 a month.
Jeez.
$400.
Over the course of the year, it got raised $400. $75 every 2 months.
Whoa, that's a lot.
I mean, she's still below market rent.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of gives you an idea. Like she's she's still kind of getting a deal. Like her side needs some work, but at the end of the day, like
she can't find a 3-bedroom.
She can't. Yeah.
What she pays. So.
Okay. And is your because my biggest thing is like me and my wife, we was looking for a house hack, and we kind of found a house with a guest house, which is a little bit different. Mm-hmm. But as far as a duplex, is your duplex, does it still feel homey? Like, like, because my wife don't really want to live beside somebody, because, sometimes duplex is like, you walk out, you got to speak every time. Or is it, because it's 3-bedroom, is it kind of spacious as far as like, feel like a house?
I think the best part about it is that the entrances are on opposite sides. Okay. There's a driveway and entrances are on the outsides of the house. Right. So we come and go and never actually have to interact, which I didn't realize how important that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine if we had to, every time we walked in and out, interact.
Yeah.
But
We looked at one fourplex and it was like, this is like, I don't want all these people knowing we're the owners and like crossing them in the stairs every day kind of thing. So I was like, nope, we're finding a duplex that is like, completely separate, completely divided. It's designed as a duplex, 2 different driveways because I don't want to have to shovel their driveway kind of thing.
Right.
Stuff like that. So no, yeah, I think it feels very homey.
Mhm.
Like it's been great.
Okay. So do you think you guys, when you get like, how do you like being a landlord? So I know you just got that tenant, but on a scale of 1 to 10, if you had, say you had 20 properties, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you think you'll like being a landlord?
I hope they're all this easy. Like when, I don't know, when you think about, it took 8 months for us to have our first call of like, hey, I think the shower was leaking or something like that. I was out of town. Elissa saved the day on that one. It was huge. And so like at the time, that one call was like super stressful. I'm like a state over. Elissa's calling me like, I don't know what I'm doing, this, that, and the other thing. And like at the time, it really sucks. But then when you consider like, okay, we've gotten like basically, over 8 months, over like 10 grand, and all we get is one phone call, like one day, that kind of sucks. It's like, dude,
this is awesome.
this is well worth it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, in the heat of the moment, it sucks, but.
Well, I can say, you said you hope all your tenants are that easy. From just listening to the conversation, I can tell this is in a good neighborhood. So I can just say, don't go below this neighborhood.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a good point. And honestly, it's an up and coming neighborhood. So we've been fortunate because it's like not, if you were to ask somebody a town over, they'd be like, this town is not that good.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it is relative to the area, but at the end of the day, it's Vermont,
Right.
So.
I've never been to Vermont, so I can't even.
My friends call it the Shire.
He called it what?
My friends call it the Shire, like from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. All right. So let's see this. 5-year plan. Where do you guys want your why are you laughing? What?
We have no idea right now. But try it. Finish the question.
All right. You guys, you're house hacking right now. In 5 years, what do you want your portfolio to look like? Or where do you want to be at, even in all with your investment business? Are you going to quit working, Jason? What's going on?
I'd love to quit working.
Well, I feel like, so we just had our baby. So in, what we've done to this point and the debt-free state that we're in has allowed me to be a stay-at-home mom. Although we're taking a hit on losing my income in our plan for the future, for now anyway. So I feel like we're just kind of factoring what life looks like without my full-time salary. So I think that's one piece of it. We definitely want to acquire, in the next 5 years, at least one more property. I know Jason would want to do more than that, but.
Yeah. So like in my mind, I don't want to buy a single family for a very long time. I want the next like 4 or 5 properties we live in to be house hacks, just because makes so much sense, and it's just like, why not? Like continue to delay that gratification of having some great white picket fence house, whatever you want kind of thing. As long as you can delay that, you're going to be better off kind of thing. So I think that combined with like, it's not so much that we like don't want to work, like we're not like that eager to quit our job. And like, as I'm trying to figure out like what kind of career do I want? It's more of like, what kind of career is conducive to a flexible lifestyle that we want, And so like, I've been thinking about going to nursing school and getting my RN, because like they have a pretty good work-life balance, like 3 days on, 4 days off, plus the travel abilities and stuff like that. So kind of thinking like, I don't want to sit at home all day. We don't want to sit at home all day.
Right.
We want to work, but we want to like have fun with what we're doing.
Got it. Okay. So this kind of different question.
Yeah.
Say you was walking in like the middle of the woods, right? All by yourself at night.
Mhm.
And like God walked out and he was like, this is your purpose or gift. What do you think he'll say? Like, all right, you're supposed to be doing this. Like, this is what I gave you that you're better than everybody you know at.
So for me,
Good.
for me, like, so I started my podcast during COVID, and I always thought of myself as an introvert and not really enjoying, like, I always like to kind of be by myself, or at least I thought I did. But now that I've like started being, doing the podcasting thing and actually like intentionally networking, intentionally talking about like opportunities and growth, I'm finding that like I really just like I guess networking, but more like building relationships and like meeting people and asking people like their story and finding out like what it is that they like to do. Like how can I help them? How can we like create more opportunity for more people kind of thing. So I think I just like being part of a team. I like brainstorming. I like thinking like outside the box. And so I guess like
I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna help you out with the question. What about you, Elissa?
I think that I'm doing it now in terms of taking care of being able to stay home and take care of our first son and maybe more to come, and just taking care of my husband. Like I feel very fulfilled in that role. So I'm all for this house hacking game where we kind of keep this passive income flowing where it supports me continuing to do this and just take care of our family.
Right. All right. I'm gonna tell you this is how you find the answer to that question.
Hmm.
Now, I discovered this like just thinking all of a sudden over this COVID, being locked up. But like for the next like 10 phone calls you get, right? Maybe start Friday. Friday is the weekend, most people off. But you're gonna get like 10 phone calls and people are gonna ask you for something. And write down what that person asked you for. Whatever it is. If they want you to, mow their yard, or they ask you what you think the market is. And out of like 10 calls, if you got 7 of them asking you like, hey, when can you fix my 4-wheeler? Like, that's what you're good at. You know what I mean?
Huh. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So I'll be telling I ain't told too many people this, but it'll help you figure out like what you're good at. So some people I think, go through life and they be really good at something. Like I've been good at real estate, but I always had a job as a mailman. So you doing a job, to take care of your family, whatever, but you're probably known for doing something.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I'll have to carry around my handy dandy notebook now every time my phone rings.
Yeah. You can do 10 phone calls and I'm pretty sure like somebody gonna keep asking you. Like people always talking about real estate. So it's like a no-brainer. Like they call me if they trying to sell a house, rent a house, whatever. So it's like, that's what I'm supposed to do. So a lot of times I'll be doing other things and I'm like, that's dumb. You know what I mean? Because it just don't make sense because this is what people call me for. This is what I guess my purpose.
Yeah. That's cool. I like it.
All right. So, all right. You got to answer, fill in the blank, basically. All right. We'll do you first, Elissa.
Okay.
I think about blank every day.
My baby.
All right. Jason, I could live in blank forever.
I can what?
I can live in blank forever.
Hawaii. Hands down.
That would have been my answer too. So
one day I'll go be Brandon's neighbor.
Right. That's funny. Oh, that's crazy. But all right, see, you live in Hawaii, you give us more babies, everybody be happy.
We're all happy.
Dude, that's the dream right there, man.
I know, but I think Brandon Turner was saying that too. But there, you just write down how can we do that? You know what I mean? Like how can you make that happen? Okay. All right. I was gonna ask something. All right, these like the final five questions. Like, oh, it's just quick. Whatever comes first thing come to your mind.
I love it.
A book that changed your life.
I'm gonna say Total Money Makeover.
Yeah.
What you're gonna say?
I was gonna say, other than the Bible, Total Money Makeover.
Okay. Dave Ramsey, Total Money
Yeah.
Makeover.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. If you could spend a day with a mentor, who would it be?
Oh man.
I'm thinking about Mike Glaspie right now because I just listened to his podcast. He's on Military Cash Flow. Jason
Wait,
had him on his podcast.
what's his name?
Mike Glaspie.
Mike Glaspie. How come I never heard of this person? What do you do?
Check him out. He's with 5 Pillars Realty, Military Cash Flow podcast. Yeah, check him out. Yeah, I'll let him know when you're shouting him out in this podcast. Great dude. The whole 5 Pillars team.
Right.
Good. They're money.
No, is he on your podcast episode? Did you?
He was a guest on mine, and then I was just a guest on theirs.
Okay, what's the name of yours? Set.
Mine's Military Bottom Line.
Okay.
And his is Military Cash Flow.
Military Bottom Line. I'm gonna put it in the show notes. I ain't gonna
Perfect. Thanks, man.
Yeah. The best advice you wish you knew maybe 10 years ago. Like that you learned.
There's been a lot of good advice over the years. I think like
I mean, I think it's starting to invest, like whatever you have.
Yeah.
Like 10 years ago, I was entering college and I was still working, I was still making money. Like I had money in savings accounts. That's what it would be like if I invested it.
Yeah. I remember when I first got to the point where I was thinking about all right, I should start a Roth IRA. And then just realizing every day I put it off, that is 50 years or I guess 40 years of compounding that I'm losing out on every day, And so just be dude, if you're 16, you're listening to this, or however old you are, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you haven't started, then literally right now is when you need to start.
Right now,
right now, pause the show and go start an account.
No. Finish the show. All right. What hobbies do you have? What do you guys do for
fun? We like working out.
I like podcasting and trying to create content, YouTube videos and stuff.
I like sewing, baking, reading books.
Yeah.
Do people call her to bake for it or no?
Yeah, sometimes bake or cook. I mean, she's a good chef. I even call her chef.
Okay. All right. So last question. The old American dream would be, like you said, you get a job, you guys have kids, buy a little dog, and get a picket fence. You live there for 40 years, then you retire and croak over, right? What is your version of the new American dream you would like to live?
I'll tell you right now, it doesn't include a dog. sorry to all the dog lovers, but no dog is worth however many hundreds of dollars a month.
Oh man.
I think we're both on the same page of having an amount of passive income that gives us the flexibility to just do what we want. Like Jason said before, it's not like we want to stop working. We want to know what we would do with ourselves. But just being able to do what you want with your time, and not relying on X amount per month or whatever. So just having multiple rental properties, having money in investments, then just having that passive income that gives us freedom.
I think for me, it's I have so many interests and so many things that I want to learn and do and become proficient at. But when you're working full time and you have all this other stuff going on, you can't pursue everything. You got to pick. And so I just really want the flexibility to pursue whatever I find interesting at that time, get to the point where it's either I really like it, I want to keep going, or be that's good enough for me, let's go on to the next thing. So just a naturally curious person, I guess.
And the only way that we can do that is if we have some passive income to allow him to keep changing his careers.
Yeah.
Right. So you think the more passive income, would it be like investing in like, the stock, the Roth, or are you leaning towards more like the financial freedom from real estate? Which way are you?
I mean, I think that the benefits of real estate are undeniably surpassing a Roth IRA. Like Roth IRA is a great way to, contribute to your retirement and stuff. But like, this is the first year that we worked with like an actual CPA, a guy doing our taxes and stuff. Like, I don't know anything about accounting or taxes. Like I'm trying to educate myself, but I'm like, all right, let's get somebody that knows what he's doing. So just learning that like, we can't shelter our W-2 income in our real estate losses. And so it's like, okay, that just means that all of our income has to come from real estate. And like, then you can shelter it all, kind of thing. So, I mean, it just seems like a no-brainer to continue buying more properties,
Right.
And any saving and investing in the market, I feel like is ultimately for the purpose of buying a cash flowing asset.
Yeah. Just curious, in Vermont, like what's the average like price of a single family house? Like for a renter, if you were to buy one? Like
for a single family, probably roughly $350. Yeah. Where are you? What state are you in?
I'm in Florida.
Florida, yeah. So I think like for us, that is like in our market, it's really like, well, why would you not buy a duplex? Like the amount that you're gonna pay for a duplex is like barely over the amount you're gonna pay for a single family, So it doesn't, like, why would you buy a single family? It doesn't make sense. So I know it's not always the same, it's not always that case depending on your market.
Right.
But for us, it was an easy choice.
For some reason, I was thinking like Vermont with like Arkansas country, like just like cheap, you know what I mean? But it's not.
There's cheap areas, but we're in like Burlington area, which is the biggest city in Vermont of
Yeah.
like
Okay.
40,000 people. So like it's the most rural part of.
If
the
you're moving to
state.
Vermont, you're probably moving here.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right. Let the people know if they want to reach out to you guys, like your social media, and you can say your podcast again.
So we have an Instagram account, a Birds 5 View, BURDS, because that's our last name. We have that, and then
my podcast is called Military Bottom Line. Same thing for Instagram and YouTube. It's basically, if you're thinking about joining the military, it gives you like a really good perspective on other people's experiences. If you're in the military, it's to help you make the most of the contract and leverage the benefits that you've earned.
I got a guy I'm gonna get in a podcast for you. David Pierre, you heard him?
David Pierre, he's already been on.
Oh,
Heck yeah, man.
Man, that's my guy. He came on my podcast like a long time ago. But
that's awesome.
Yeah,
good dude. He's killing it.
Yeah, he is. All right, man. Appreciate y'all for coming on the show, and good luck.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.